pledge, and if Susan can lead us in the pledge today.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So then we'll move into discussion, possible action on matters emanating from executive session. Could I have a motion to approve the stipulated agreement regarding number 1 as presented in executive session?
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. McCool and a second by Ms. O'Donnell. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstentions? That motion passes. Could I then have a motion to approve the stipulated agreement regarding student number 2 as presented in executive session?
I'll make that motion. I'll second it.
We have a motion by Mr. Solozzi and a second by Mr. Scully. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstentions? That motion passes. Could I then have a motion to approve the stipulated agreement regarding student number 3 as presented in executive session?
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. McCool and a second by Ms. Makowski. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstentions? That motion passes. We'll then move into public comment. If there are any members of the public that would like to give public comment, please step to the podium and state your name and address for the record. As a reminder, each speaker is allowed 3 minutes to speak to the committee.
I am actually a resident of Hvac, Connecticut, but I am here on behalf of my granddaughter who attends Naugatuck School. My daughter's address can be given to you off the record. I am an acute care nurse practitioner, have a forensic degree and a doctorate degree in nursing education, and I am an associate professor. I teach advanced pharmacology at the college level and am well-versed in drug companies' failures related to drug and vaccine safety data. I am here to share important safety information to this board and the parents in this school district regarding COVID-19 vaccines, mandates, social emotional learning, and their relationship to ESSER funding from the federal government. I have sent this Board of Education vaccine data from Pfizer and Moderna via email. This is the company's post-vaccination data that they were took to court for. Post-vaccination data from Pfizer within the first 2.5 months showed over 1,200 deaths. To this time right now, there are over 200 child deaths. There are over 1,200 cases of myocarditis, 2 of which were from the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, which I also sent you that article and that data. These vaccines do not prevent infection, they do not stop transmission, and they do not prevent severe disease. And I know that. Masks do not help prevent transmission. Understand that. I am a researcher. I am a scientist. The Kabuki theater needs to stop. All of these mandates were done, and parents need to know because they were related to federal ESSER funding mandates. If anybody wants any of this information, I have it. I have the post-vaccination data, and I will freely share it with you and with the parents. ESSER 3 funding is now being released from the federal government. What has come out at the end of May is now they are going to do more unsafe practices for our children in school with gender identity. If boys who identify as girls are allowed in the girls' room, there will be a lawsuit. I can guarantee you, because that is unsafe. Access is important to sexual assaults. How many sexual assaults have there been in Naugatuck High School? I will FOIA you for that information. That is unsafe. It doesn't make anybody feel safe, and it does not belong in our public schools. Social emotional learning, let's talk about that. Doesn't belong in education. Yes, do children need mental health care? They absolutely do. It is not the job of the public health educational system to provide mental health services to children or to decide that children need mental health services.
Thank you.
Parents decide.
Thank you.
whether
At this
their
time, your
children need them.
3 minutes has ended. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If anybody wants this information, I have it. And I have packets for the board. Who do I give it to?
You could drop it off to me.
Drop it off where?
Up here. We'll take it. If there's any other member of the public that would like to give public comment, please state your name and address for the record.
Andrew Lucchino, 195 Stone Fence Road, Naugatuck, Connecticut. I appreciate you guys letting me speak again up here. I'm back up here again just to talk about, student teaching and learning that goes on within the schools. I'm just, again, a concerned parent. I know it's been a tough year for educators, administrators. It has not been easy. COVID, losses in learning. What I'm really looking for is I came up here a few months ago and made some suggestions about, hey, let's send a survey out from the Board of Education to some teachers about teaching and learning. I'm not sure that has happened, but I'm really looking for some more responsible Board of Education policies on behavior. We sweep a lot of stuff under the rug. We really do. I'm in education myself. You guys know that. And I know it gets swept under the rug. We got to be honest with ourselves. We need to change some things here. We understand we have a family value issue in this country and certainly in this town. But we need to hold parents, students, educators responsible. I know you guys know John Hattie, some of you educators out there, and the number one thing for student success is collective efficacy. And we got to get together and start doing some things. And listen, I know it's not easy, but we need to change some of our discipline policies. We do. We need to get more stringent on things and stop sweeping things under the rug. Just a couple things too. I know this school year, there's been classrooms that have had nobody in them for like 20 minutes. And the kids, do some things, they shut the lights off. Listen, that becomes a DCF issue. When no one's in there, that's a safety issue. You could say we don't have subs, we don't have code. I hope, and I've heard secretary subbing, maybe the superintendent subbing. I hope you have, because we are all in this together. And one more thing too, I just hear these locked bathrooms. Why do we always make these policies for the 5-10% of kids who are doing the bad things? Locked bathrooms all over the building? I mean, the students have rights to go to the bathroom. I understand if they abuse it, they can. We can't have locked bathrooms all over the building. Come on. So I say let's work together to get some real sensible policies put into place. We need to change some things. And I'm happy to see that the middle school is looking to change some things, right? There's a big discipline problem. Let's work together to get some things done. We cannot let this go on. We cannot. We have to hold parents accountable too. People like myself. If a teacher takes away my kid's cell phone at school, I'm not coming to pick it up. Are you kidding me? It's gone forever. Last thing, let's not suspend kids too often, because you know what they go home and do? They watch the new movies, okay? They're not at home learning. So every time you suspend them, they're out of school. I know there's some safety issues regarding that. You have to. they're going to go home and do not so good things. So please, I'm willing to help you and continue the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's any other member of the public that would like to give public comment, please step to the podium and state your name and address for the record.
Dorothy Nathukunin, 40 Donovan Court. I want to take a few minutes of your time and discuss bullying. I'm not going to talk about those who choose a path of destruction to harm others, or those who turn a blind eye, or those who can no longer handle the impact on their life. I'm going to appeal to the sense of understanding and desire to want change. We know that it's not starting in the 7th and 8th grade. There's a greater underlying issue that requires intervention, parental guidance, and direction. And all of us need to gain a greater understanding of those drivers. We cannot do this overnight. As a community, we can work on solutions to guide parents and students and to offer a warm and welcoming educational experience and a safe climate to each student. The policies developed by the state have not been updated that I am aware of since 2014. Perhaps they require review for a more current representation of today's environment. But as a community and an educational institution, we have an obligation to look after all of our students and develop them into citizens we envision they would become. As parent leaders, Marilyn and I developed our community impact projects on ways to educate and reduce bullying, and we invite all those who want to be part of the solution. We want to understand parent needs and be able to provide direction for resources that are beneficial to your family. We look to the community to become more engaged in the awareness and changing the narrative. October is National Prevention Bully Month. October 12th is Anti-Bully Month. And in November, it's Anti-Bully Week in November. I think it's week 22. It's also National Stop Bully Day. We should be doing something to make people more aware of this and kind of promote the anti-bullying culture. We need to let the community get involved. And it'll take place. Once it does, then we can thrive without educational interruptions. So let us get back to the basics of enjoying our educational experience. If anyone's interested in working together, I've created an email address and they can send information to me at changingthenarrativeforyou@gmail.com. My other concern is that we've had 19 stipulated agreements since October. That's way too many. We need to figure out the underlying reasons why there was concern and why we had so many. I think in all the years that I was on the board, I don't recall ever seeing that many. So I know that we live in a different time, a different culture, and culture has made things a little different, but we need to figure out what my last point is this. I reviewed the YouTube video from the February 10th board meeting, and I have the following comments. Student representatives on the board are representatives of the student body. They may not have voting power, but it is of my opinion that they be allowed to be heard. I understand meetings to the Board of Education are done by proxy, and I'm certain when written, they can consider student representatives. The Board of Ed has been a fluid body adapted to various changes in policy and has personality. While monthly board meetings is a monthly business meeting, their input is vital to the discussions and decisions as it pertains to students who are represented by student members to be heard, do not speak, let them speak, because they are the very students.
Thank you. If there's any other member of the public that would like to give public comment, please step to the podium. And one last call for public comment. Seeing none, we'll move into the superintendent's report. Superintendent Montini.
Yeah, if you would open that, that'd be great. And if you scroll to this page. Thank you, Mr. Chair. First on the order of business today in regards to the superintendent report is a great big congratulations to Miss Magrola and the faculty and staff at the Early Childhood Center for passing their Hvac accreditation. Congratulations. There was never a doubt. You go in that school, you immediately feel the embrace of warmth and welcome, smiles ear to ear, learning, excitement, all made possible by the collective efforts of you and your staff. This page, if you scroll down, no, up a little bit. I just want to, so the criteria for passing is an 80% pass rate for the program overall. We were 94 and change, I believe. I did write it down. It's in that there anyway. 94.72, 60% on each standard. We range from 88 to 100%. 60% pass rate in each standard. So that's 70% pass rate in each assessed class. We were 95, 96, and 97. And we are so thankful that you did. It's a 5-year accredited process. We are good to go through September of 2027. Thank you for your support in service of our youngest learners. Thank you. Recruitment Report. So we have application paper screening process aligned to our core values and our movement. We then have, similar to speed dating, not that I know, but we have core value screening, where we bring in we ask questions aligned to our values. So we have a big group of folks who rotate. What we're in the process of doing right now, we started in April. We're going to now shift central to our recruitment and hiring is minority teacher recruitment. And you know that we updated our policy and our administrative regulations. So I'm going to read for you for a second the statement of commitment, the beliefs in regards to minority recruitment aligned to our policy. The Naugatuck Board of Education believes that the diversity of our schools and greater community is both an asset and a gift. The district is committed to recruit and retain talented minority educators and other minority personnel to provide students with an opportunity to interact with students and staff representative of the population of which they are a part. And that's taken from that policy. These are aligned to state statutes and the state of Connecticut goal as well. Let's go to the next slide, please. So what you have here is a new graph from EdSite Secure. I believe it's on the public side of EdSite now as well. And what you see is the blue bar graph represents the the percentage of students of color from, well, over the last decade and beyond. And the top bar graph is the state of Connecticut. The bottom bar graph is Naugatuck. And you'll see that the yellow mustard color there, that's the percentage of certified educators of color. So the gap, as you know, statewide between students of color and teachers of color is really big. And Connecticut set a goal of 10%. I think they met their goal of 10%. I don't know that if that goal was their initial. You could see in Naugatuck, ours is, right now we're at 4.5%. Ours is much smaller. We have a greater gap between the two. This is something that we're aware of and that we've been working on. And then when we looked at our policy and some of our strategies, we aimed to close. So we're a little higher now than we were last year. And if you look over the course of this graph, we more than doubled, but still a large gap exists. And large gaps like this exist, of course, across the state of Connecticut. There isn't the pool. So we are looking at different ways to attract folks to come to Naugatuck, right? It's one of our strategies that we have. So I share this data with you. It's accessible again on Ed's site. We're better than we were previously, but we're not where we need to be because, as you know, like our policy, every kid should see themselves in the teacher and have an opportunity to interact with what makes this an amazing place to learn and grow up, right? That's the diversity of our people. So I'm going to share a few slides with you. This is our 21-22 employee census. So what you'll see on this slide is that we have 788 people, and it breaks down 734 of them, 93% are white, the other 7% are not. And it tells you 2.5 Black or African American, 1 American Indian or Alaskan Native, 2 Asian, 29 Hispanic or Latino, and 2 other. And it gives you the associated percentages. So that's everybody, certified, non-certified. The next 2 columns breaks it off between certified and non-certified. Now, the previous graph that I shared with you is certified staff versus total student enrollment. Here we have certified staff and then we have non-certified staff. We have a more diverse non-certified staff than we do certified staff. So if you look, we're 96%, 96.5% of our certified staff is white, and the others, the other 4.5% is non-white, with 2.2 being of Hispanic or Latino, and 0.76, 3 Black or African American, 1 Asian, 1 American Indian. When you look at certified, more diverse with 90% versus 10%, 90% white, 10% certified staff of color. Any questions on the employee census? Okay, I'm going to move now into the new hire census. So this now, when I'm talking about this is the year in review. This is going back from last year, folks that we hired throughout the year. We hired a total of 109 of them. And we have it broken down total, certified, non-certified. And you'll see that we hired for a total 86 or 79%, roughly 79% of the folks that were hired were white, 9 or 8% or Hispanic or Latino, 11 or 10% were Black or African American. When you then break that down for certified, you see that 95% white and 5% were Black or African American. So that's 38 and 2. And when you look at the non-certified, you see that 69%, or roughly 70%, 48 folks were white, and then the other 30% were not, with 13% being Black or African American and 13% being Hispanic or Latino. So our job is to find talented folks. I don't want to mislead anybody by saying that like we're setting out to only to diversify. We have high standards, and our pursuit is to find a diverse, but always a highly qualified, talented group of individuals to lead what is our most precious resource, our children. That's our goal. The best strategy in the world is put an amazing teacher in front of every student in our district, right? That's what we seek to do. But we know that we need to work to provide our students with the diversity that exists in the world. And that's where I'm going to share with you some of the highlights that we implemented from our plan and throughout the year. So we attended several career fairs. I guess before I talk about the career fairs, we've assembled a diverse hiring and recruitment committees. So our staff of color, we've been working with them the last few years to join our recruitment teams, our hiring teams, our committees. We've gone to career fairs at UConn, Central, Howard, and the RESC minority teacher recruitment, which is a combination of all of the RESC service areas, ACES, CREC, et cetera. We, as you know, as part of the Alliance Grant, fund the teacher in residency program. And that's some of the things that we need to do because they're the pool of folks in regards to certification in the state is low and lacking, and we're all fighting over low numbers. The RESC teacher in residency program allows you to cultivate and develop your own. We advertise in diverse places. We have a recruitment video that's been in development. Thank you for your patience, Lorraine. Lorraine it's been sitting with me, and I've been watching it, and we're almost there to bring it to you folks in its first draft form or second or third. We utilize Teach Connecticut network to advertise and recruit. A few years ago, an affinity group was developed, and that remains. We have a new administrator academy. We have new teacher orientation and support meetings by trimester. And as I opened the meeting up, we have a comprehensive hiring process where we look to find those that meet the high standard and are worthy of leading, teaching, and inspiring our students and children. So with that, I will ask if there's any questions.
I don't have any questions, just a comment.
Yeah.
Thank you for laying it out for us. We've been wondering exactly what the process is and how we were, coming along. This looks good.
Well, thank you. Yeah. We were trying to do year. This is our first time doing it. Modify this. We did well. We are recommending one of the two candidates for a teaching position. Which is accepted. So, this is anything about that. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, then just a statement. The only thing in this presentation of the Superintendent's Report that I cared to hear was that we are hiring the best educators for our students. The rest of this identity politics is PR raw. This is the stuff that tears our community apart. This is the stuff that pits us against each other, and it's the stuff that doesn't belong in our educational system. The full stop could have been that we are continuing to hire the best educators possible for our students, because that is the only metric that matters when it comes to educating our students. Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah, I was curious, I see Howard University, but aren't there many other universities? Some real candidates.
we're always looking. This is the first time we've ever tried. Howard pulls from a lot of area colleges. Career fairs this year weren't the greatest because of COVID and a lot of we want to get better. Next year, we continue to improve. So we evaluate success of the career looking at other universities. We go to UConn because UConn has an amazing program and we've had success there. It was not as well attended as we would have liked this year. So we're hoping that they're better attended next year. So we can certainly look to expand and try different universities to attract the best talent.
Yeah, I'll just comment on the recruiting as your representative to ACES. They also went to Howard and, well, probably everywhere you were, they were. And they said the same thing, that it was a it wasn't a big pool of people to pull from. Plus it was late in the year. So they've had some pretty good success though with their advertising. They have a great advertising campaign and that's what we're working on now. So we should see progress.
All right. I just wanted to say thank you to the board for always looking for quality teachers and qualified teachers, and for also recognizing the sheer amount of diversity within our student body, and then working very hard to not only find qualified and talented individuals to fill those teaching positions, but also teachers that accurately reflect our student body and make sure that all students see a teacher, a role model, and mentor that looks like them, that have shared experiences as them, and are able to tap into those relationships that otherwise are hard to find. So thank you again for continuing to look for talented individuals everywhere, and for also making sure that they reflect our demographics properly.
Thank you, Tenzin. I 100% agree with your comments.
Hi, I had a question. I was just wondering, do we have a why as it is that pool is so small? Is there a way to know why the diversity is not really there in the pool to begin with? I'm just wondering what that may look like. Is it because graduation rates aren't? There aren't as many people of color that are taking on the responsibility of teaching or wanting to be teachers, or what seems to be the barrier there, that there isn't as much diversity as we're expecting to see in the district? That's just my comment about that.
Yeah, I will certainly look into that. I don't want to make assumptions on the state level, but I suspect that the reasons include some of the things of which you spoke, which is why things like the TRP and other and the new Future Teachers of America that we're doing in a class here at the high school aims to change that, so that kids get excited about being an educator and will hopefully come back to Naugatuck as college graduates, and we'll change that.
You just mentioned a program that we have here. I know a friend of mine in Florida, actually, she student taught along and did college courses as well during her time at the high school. And she is able, as a very, very young teacher, but she was offered a position in her elementary school, actually, which was really quite wonderful for her. And I wonder, do we have any kind of program like that here?
Yeah, basically that's what the program is. We accept student teachers from all over Connecticut, and we too scoop people up when we have student teachers, interns, and other folks who have internship experience and are demonstrating success in our classrooms. And that seemed to be the trend, which is one reason why career fairs were not as well attended. Lots of folks were getting jobs that way. Mm-hmm.
Can I just comment on the pool of teachers of color? There is a big pool, A lot of them choose to go into industry, into business, where they are more welcomed. Education isn't that welcoming to teachers of color. They just don't want the hassle. So a lot of them opt out for the business world. So that's what we're working on, making them feel welcome. That's the big push across the nation. Trust me, there are lots of qualified people of color in every area.
The two memos that were here in this, the summer program information is really for your information. It's an annual occurrence where we are about to embark with the close of school. Shortly thereafter, our summer programs at the high school. We have credit recovery, summer enrichment for students in grades 1 through 12 will also take place here at the high school. We have a grade 9 summer bridge program, and we have extended school year as well. In addition, there's the memo from Bernice, which talks about summer programming and facility usage. As you know, schools are the centerpieces of the community, and we have lots of, we have a lot of park and rec and YMCA things that take place at our schools. We're happy for those partnerships where we can co-provide or provide the space to provide for kids in the summer. Questions?
In addition to these programmings, did I see we're also offering school lunch to all children in a number of our locations throughout the summer in our buildings?
Yes, we are. Thank you, Mr. McCool.
Any other questions? Seeing none, that brings us into our monthly reports, and we'll start with our Superintendent's Report. I will turn over to Tenzin and Josephine.
Tenzin,
Oh, student.
I know you're gifted. That was a quick rise, though. Okay.
Sorry. So the NHS Counseling Department hosted a senior decision day to celebrate our students and their post-secondary plans to attend college, the military, or the workforce.
Sorry. Students won awards and recognition at Honors Night and the Air Force JROCT award ceremonies.
And our jazz band placed second in their division at the National Jazz Festival. Students won the DECA Student Staff Basketball game. Sunrise completed their third and final lesson on climate change at Cross Street School, and JROTC hosted the Memorial Day ceremony.
In response to the school shooting in Uvalde, Texas, and the prevalence of gun violence in America, newly formed NHS chapter of the Students Demand Action held an assembly on the field to read the names of people killed in the recent tragedies and emphasize the need for systemic change. Yeah, and one more thing. So tonight is Tenzin's last meeting, so I just wanted to thank him for being an amazing friend and mentor for me throughout this last year. I really appreciate everything that he's done for me, and I wanted to wish him good luck at Yale and in his future endeavors. And I'm sad to see him go, but I'm excited to welcome Ruby Monroe, who was just selected as the new Junior Student Board of Ed representative. So I'm excited to work with her next year, and I just wanted to introduce her to you all. Thank you.
Welcome, Ruby. So, as Josephine said, we have had an amazing student representative in Tenzin. He's been outspoken. He's helped to expand student representation by getting the lower grades involved. We're going to miss him. He'll be attending Yale University in the fall. And as a token of our appreciation to you, we have a small gift for you. Yeah, if you want to say anything, feel free.
I'm sorry. I just want to say thank you all so much for this experience to see what really goes on behind our education and all the dedicated people that really make sure that everything runs smoothly. And I'm just so grateful to have had all of you as mentors and as colleagues. And I'm so thankful for the gift, but also for all the experiences I've had here. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. So then that brings us to our facility use report. Any questions on the facility use report? Seeing none, that brings us to our human resource report. Any questions on our human resources report? Seeing none?
May I make a comment?
Yes.
I want to take a moment to acknowledge our retirees this year. So there's a memo in there, and no words can do justice the service and support that these individuals provided our students. There's 566 years here, years of touching lives and helping shape and reshape futures. We are extremely grateful, and I'm just going to very quickly read their names. Mr. Ralph Roper, Administrative Assistant at Hillside. Ms. Lourdes Sanchez, Paraeducator at Maple. Valerie Ambrose, Paraeducator at Hillside. Cindy Chupenis, Paraeducator at City Hill. Rachel Pollock, Paraeducator at City Hill. Joseph Miata, School Counselor, Hillside. Mary Clark, School Nurse, City Hill. Barbara Albert, School Nurse, City Hill. Sheila Bassett, School Nurse, Salem. Maria Gioli, School Secretary, City Hill. Eileen Mariano, School Secretary, Hillside. Deborah Sill, Security, City Hill. Eileen Mariano, yes, at Hillside. Kathleen Bennett, Special Education Teacher Assistant, the high school. Mr. George McCary, Applied Education Teacher at Naugatuck High School. And if you take a look, that's 49 years. 49 years because he loves it. Here. Yes. Lori Bizzuto, English teacher, City Hill. Carolyn Laurentis, English teacher, City Hill. Lisa Green, health teacher, PE teacher, high school. Michelle Russell, math department head, math teacher, the high school. Annette Caselli, social studies teacher, City Hill. Judith Wood, special education teacher, the high school. Deb Marone, special education teacher, Cross Street. Deborah Williams, special education teacher, City Hill. The collective impact on our students can never be measured. We're eternally grateful for your work and support over the years.
Congratulations to them all. I know I've been honored to have some of them as my educators in the past, and we wish them the best of luck. We'll then move on to our enrollment report. Any questions on the enrollment report? Seeing none, we'll move on to our finance report. Any questions on the finance report? Seeing none, we'll move on to our fire drill report. Any questions on the fire drill report?
Can I just ask why we do fire drills every month, but we don't do crisis drills every month like it says?
The state law and our policy requires monthly, with 3 of which have to be code drills. So at the end of the year, we have to have 7 fire drills and 3 code drills. Normally, we exceed that. So yeah, it's in line.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to old business. So could I have a motion to approve BOE policy 8011, Code of Ethics as proposed?
So moved.
We have a motion by Ms. Makowski. Do we have a second? And a second by Mr. McCool. Any discussion?
I just want to say thank you. I know this one came up at the last board meeting, and then we got together and did a workshop, and I think we came to a really good place and worked together very well to do it. And so thank you all for finding the right code of ethics for us and not just taking a cookie cutter from somebody else.
Thank you. I totally agree. I thought it was great that we all came together and developed it. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And any abstentions? And that motion passes with Mr. Scully voting no. We'll then move on to new business. Our first item is YMCA daycare proposal.
Good evening, everyone. Back in the fall, this board asked the high school to explore options for restoring a child care program to Naugatuck High School. And so tonight I'm bringing to you a proposal and seeking your approval to enter into a partnership with the Naugatuck YMCA to establish a child care program here at NHS. The proposal would involve the YMCA taking responsibility for the licensing, supervision, staffing, and funding of the program, and take advantage of the existing facilities in the child care lab that we have at the high school. I have with me tonight Mark LaFortune and Sherry Beck from the Y. Mark is the CEO, Sherry is the Director of Operations and Fundraising. Got it right. Sherry has come out for a couple of site visits to do some measurements. She anticipates that the state would license a facility for about 40 students. Our hope for next year is to start with a smaller program, start with about 20 students. This would be, a big benefit to the community at large by opening up additional high-quality, affordable childcare spots. It would be a big benefit to Naugatuck High School students in bringing back a program that allows them to get hands-on experience in the childcare field. It would actually offer more in terms of hours and access than the former child care program did. It would offer a pathway to after-school employment. What we're seeking to do with the Y is really establish a center that would be open from about 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. And the YMCA has agreed to reserve spots for NPS staff, which I think would go a long way to making the high school and Naugatuck Public Schools a really attractive place to come and teach. So the proposal is outlined in the memo that was shared with you. We foresee no cost to the Board of Ed to enter into this partnership. And I would be happy to take any questions, and any that I can't, I would ask Mark and Sherry to help me out with.
So I don't have any questions, but I just want to say thank you for coming up with this. Thank you to the YMCA. Right, I know some of our board members, Marilyn, we're very supportive of this and very supportive of this program. It's a good program, and I just thank you for taking the effort to go ahead and get this up and going.
So the Y would run this, it would be their teachers or would?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay. My daughter went to the Y when she was a little tot, yes.
She turned out all right.
I'd like to thank you for doing the research, because I thought it was going to be a waste of time having that building empty over there, and it deserved to be a daycare center. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry, for bringing this to us and the idea for the creative space, and Mr. Harris for jumping on it. So just to be clear, it will be a little different than in the past. We will not employ the teacher, certified teacher. So students may get credit for this. They're going to get the experience for push and support, and they may get credit if they take it as an independent study, and they can get internship or partner or community service hours. But of course, this we don't have the burden of paying the teacher, et cetera. So this is a partnership. We partner with Y on a number of things. And we're thinking that this will be a really successful program where multiple folks throughout the community will benefit. So we can vote if you want to show a sign of support. This is really the seed idea. We'll get together, but essentially it's a facility usage request. But I'll leave that to you. And the good thing about a vote is we know where all of you stand on the issue.
Now, will the Y be renting the space?
Likely.
Because they'll be getting the tuition, right?
Right, and that's some of the details we haven't gotten that far. What they really have been talking about is how do we coexist? How do both sides benefit? How can we get the high school kids some experience, perhaps some extra credit through independent study or field experience through the Future Teachers of America class, and or after school job opportunities too, because if they need staff, they would be willing at least to interview to see if some of our staff, our students could work there as well. Yeah, of course you can.
We also have many families who have children on waiting lists at all of our centers across Naugatuck. So this was another creative way to open up slots for families who are on those waiting lists.
Okay, so then to show a sign of support, I'd ask for a motion to approve the NHS proposal for the YMCA daycare.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Grant and a second by Mayor Hess. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes. Thank you. So then that brings us to the middle school unified arts program.
Great. So what we have here is basically a table with a T-chart. The current schedule has, at the middle school for unified arts, has 2 art teachers. We have a vacancy right now in art. So we're bringing to you a proposal to swap the 1 art teacher for a health teacher. Because as you know, in the budget presentation that we were looking to add a health teacher, and then we hit pause, and we were thinking that we might do it in the following year. So what you have on the left side is the current number of the days of instruction at whatever the length of the period is. And then on the right, you have what it would be. And basically, it's just taking one of the art rotations and making it a health rotation. So it would be cost neutral because we'd be replacing 1 teacher with the vacancy. So in short, if you go to the next slide, it is, they currently have 7.5 hours of health instruction, which is far less than we would like to provide middle school students. The proposed schedule, they would have 21.6 hours of health instruction, offset by a reduction of 21.6 of art, but they're doubled up on art. In addition, if you recall, and I don't want to get too complicated, but City Hill has another block where there's their mini electives that the kids get to choose. Now that the health teachers don't have to, the PE teachers don't have to teach health, some students would be able to choose another 22.5 hours of physical education related electives because they'd be freed up. So it's a cost neutral. We feel it's a benefit. And those students that would be displeased about the reduction in art, well, they could choose art as the mini elective too. So they would have that additional art mini elective. So there is no real change to the budget. It's just a change of 1 FTE. I wanted to bring it to you for your support and opinion.
I'm good with it.
Yeah. Let's vote, please. I don't know that it requires it because we're not changing the budget or the FTE, but we are changing a program. I think it's best served, yes, to have that motion, please.
So then could I have a motion to approve the middle school unified arts schedule as proposed? We have a motion by Ms. O'Donnell. Do we have a second?
Second.
And a second by Ms. Makowski. Any discussion?
So we have the vacancy. We could not do health and do that, but that, as you know, we asked for time to develop the curricula. So now next year, instead of asking for two, we really would be down for, we're still on track to bring to you a curricula and a plan to replace the facilities. What we need to do so we're on track with what we said at curriculum, which is wait one more year, develop the curricula, and have a plan to replace the stoves, et cetera. We had one. He's leaving for a position, so we just posted for that. Yeah. We are keeping that program. Yeah, we're keeping hands-on. This is a more definitive plan, though, that came from curriculum committee, and we were on track. We're still on track.
I'm gonna hold you to it.
Sounds like yes, I know you will.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion passes. That brings us to the approval of the 2022-2023 BOE financial plan. Could I have a motion to approve the BOE financial plan as proposed in the amount of $64,523,133? We have a motion by Ms. O'Donnell. Do we have a second? And a second by Ms. Grant. Any discussion?
It's just a question. This is consistent with the budget. But when you have a budget, you have a plan, right? Why do we have to implement a plan to do what we said we're going to do in the budget?
The board can't adopt the budget until the meeting after the town sets the final budget. So you guys did it May 25th-ish, right? It's 12, 14 days after your May 11th meeting. So this is the first opportunity now the board adopts it.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And any abstentions? That motion passes with Mr. McCool voting no. That brings us to out-of-state field trip. Could I have a motion to approve the out-of-state field trip to Disney? We have a motion by Ms. Grant. Do we have a second? And a second by Mr. Scully. Any discussion?
Chairman, I just was reading through the plan here, and there is, please upload any files needed for the BOE to determine whether to approve field trip, and there are form stack links, but when I typed those in, I could not get into any of those documents to review them, and they're not attached to this memo.
We will attach them as PDFs moving forward. If you want that for the vote, then you would just need to vote it down, and then we would vote on this at the next board meeting. I guess the only thing I will say is that this is recurring. Generally, they go each year. It's not the first time.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And any abstentions? That motion passes with Mr. Solozzi abstaining. That brings us to the out-of-country field trip. Could I have a motion to approve the out-of-country field trip to Costa Rica? We have a motion by Ms. Grant. Do we have a second? Second. And a second by Ms. Makowski. Any discussion?
Is this the first time? This is the first time for Costa Rica, right? I don't recall.
I
the
believe
map-
so.
No, I took children to Costa Rica in 2009.
From here?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Oh, well, that was a long time
I
ago.
know. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstentions? That motion passes. That brings us to BOE Policy 5500, which is a first read regarding student privacy. And BOE Policy 5202, Transportation, which is also a first read. BOE Policy 1330, Use of School Facilities, also a first read. BOE Policy 3320, Purchasing Procedures, also a first read. BOE Policy 6640, Equitable Identification of Gifted and Talented Students, also a first read. And BOE Policy 5210, Student Dress, also a first read.
That's a big one.
So as first reads, they would be on our next agenda to vote. So if you have any questions or comments, please bring them with you. That brings us to the HVAC Bid Award. Could I have a motion to award the HVAC contract to Controlled Air in the amount of $99,288 for a term of 12 months? We have a motion by Ms. Makowski and a second by Mr. Scully. Any discussion?
Mr. Scully?
Yeah, this covers all the maintenance on the equipment that's generally got to be done every year. It doesn't maintain wear and tear, right?
It covers everything in every school and above and beyond what we have been doing. So it includes exhaust fans, AHUs, rooftop units, boilers, hot water heaters, everything in every school.
Oopsie.
Repair costs or something.
Yes.
Right, they give detailed reports after each visit. If something needs to be replaced, they give us a quote on it. Bernice, we work on that and then we go forward.
Right. Okay.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstentions? That motion passes. Can I then have a motion to award the elevator maintenance 30-month contract to Otis Elevator for the annual cost of $9,000?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion by Mr. McCool. Do we have a second? And a second by Mr. Solozzi. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? And any abstentions? That motion passes. That then brings us to the ECS set aside. Could I have a motion not to request the 2% ECS set aside funds?
So moved.
We have a motion by Ms. Grant. Do we have a second?
Second.
And a second by Mr. McCool. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstentions? That then brings us to the approval of the minutes. Could I have a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting? We have a motion by Mr. McCool. Do we have a second? And a second by Ms. Makowski. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstentions? That brings us to communications and a bid waiver.
Yeah.
Any questions on the bid waiver? Seeing none, we'll then move into the jazz band.
This year, the Naugatuck High School Jazz Band competed in the National Jazz Festival for the first time ever. Happy to report that Dylan Trochler submitted a piano solo and placed second in his category. Yenamel Alvarez and Tyler, here we go with the Chakowski will recognize Chakowski as outstanding musicians, and our NHS Jazz Band placed second out of 6 bands in the L3 Live category. Congratulations. I told Mr. Arboleda, I said, you're coming back here. This is a high bar, your New England championships. And we had a nice laugh, and he said, we're going to do it. So that's excellent.
Congratulations to everyone involved with the jazz band and our musical programs. We're lucky to have such amazing programs. So that brings us to our NPS 2022 Para Educator of the Year.
Yeah, so I know that there was press releases, and I know you know this already, but it's our first board meeting after having delivered the notice that we're really happy. Once again, I mean, the ECC is cleaning house tonight, but to recognize Cassandra Ortiz as the Para Educator of the Year from the preschool. Yes, and we typically, and we didn't invite them here. We surprise them in their class. So we surprise them in their class when they're with students typically. And we did that, and we honor them at convocation. So this is a little more for information and just public acknowledgement. But they already are aware, just FYI.
And then our 2022 Teacher of the Year, Mr. Veronelli. Again, like Chris said, or Superintendent Montini said, they're surprised, so the press releases went out already. But congratulations to both of them. It's always an honor to receive those awards. So they should be very proud. We're very proud of them. And yeah.
I know I wasn't on the selection committees, but I do know that, they had a really difficult time. We had so many wonderful staff. It was a rigorous process, and both Mr. Veronelli and Ms. Ortiz are excellent educators, very deserving, and we're very happy to have them on our team.
Great. And then that brings us to adjournment. Can I have a motion to adjourn? We have a motion by Marilyn. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Makowski. All those in favor? We are adjourned.